Hey, what's going on, you guys? Welcome to another IP Tech. I am your host, Philly Phil. Now, of course, usually I would, take more time in showing you how to do this, but this thing actually took me quite a few hours to actually complete step by step. So I'm gonna go through this as fast as I can while remaining to give you as much information as I can, without boring you to death. Really quick. Probably wondering what this little thing right here on the front of the screen is. This is actually a JPEG image that will be available for download for you guys. So check the link in the description, or you can go over to the Facebook fan page, and there should be a link there as well. If you can't get it through the link, then I'll probably just post it, in the pictures on the fan page. You right click and save image as. It actually made tracking a lot easier in this instance, and it gave me track markers, and you'll see what's going on with that here in a second. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so we have a footage, which also I'm going to try to have available for you guys in 720p and 360p for those who computers aren't up to speed yet. Anyways, we have our footage, we have our screen. Once again, it's just a JPEG image that was on the phone that I selected, and then I just turned the phone on and then started filming. It's nothing simple. And then we went ahead and we added the Foundry camera tracker to it. If you're not familiar with this plugin, check the particle fairy effect 3D camera tracker tutorial I did a few weeks back. We'll give you a little bit more insight for that. Okay, so we would apply that, right? You would go track features, which would then allow it to track. You would solve camera, and then you would create scene. Creating a scene would then give you a camera, a 3D camera, and a null. Here, let me go turn off that. Okay, so here goes the null, here goes the camera. So you would have that and then that. In this instance, after I'm done with that, well, actually, one more step. What we would do is we would select it, and then we would find a tracker point here, right here. We'll take the center one. We would then go create, collect that, go to create, and we would then create a null object, which would then give us our null object where that tracker point is. And then what we would do is simply, me personally, I just delete camera tracker at that point, but I'm not going to do it just in case I mess up on the tutorial. I still have it. Let's see, after that what we did was I went ahead and I created a solid. This is just a regular old I think it was just Control Y, and it was just a 720 by 1920 by 1080 solid. Bam, just like that. Then what I did is I went ahead and pre-composed it. We would then pre-compose it using Shift Control C, and then you would just rename it Screen, because this is the one that's going to be on the phone. So we just name it Screen, and then it would give us this right here. Alright, now this color, for me, I actually chose to make it, these are the numbers, R127, G190, and B255, which is red, green, and blue. That's the blue I chose for this. It took me a minute to pick a good enough blue for it to matter, but that's the blue I used. Now what I went ahead and did is from that tracker point or that null object, I went ahead and copied and pasted the position by hitting P on the null object, taking your X, Y, and Z axis numbers and just pasting them onto the position of the pre-comp screen layer, which is there. Then just delete the null, which would then give you that. And it may take you a minute to get it right, so don't feel that just doing that will simply get it where it needs to go. Sometimes the math is off and it won't end up where you want it to be. That's fine. Take your time and maneuver it in space exactly where you need it to be. For me in this instance, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and call out the numbers for you. So for the X was 97 or 971.4, Y was 595.7, and then the Z was 426.8. If you're using this footage, that hopefully that gets you close to where you need to be. If not, just move it to where you want it to be. Alright, went ahead and added a glow. As you can see, here goes that color, that blue composition without the glow, and then I just went ahead and added the glow. Now the cool thing about this, with this being in a composition, you can then go into the screen comp and then add in whatever you want. So let's say you wanted to say, just click here and we'll just go loading, right? We would then be able to put that in the center. We'll make it bigger, drop that down. We'll leave it black for now. Go back over here to the main comp, and then bam, your screen officially says loading without much work after tracking and then placing it in the right position. So that's really cool. I was gonna do some little wavy motions on here at first in the original, but I decided not to. Since it was only a test video, it wasn't that big of a deal. So moving forward, let's go ahead and get rid of loading. You know what? No, I'll leave it on there for you guys. So yeah, so that's the cool thing about pre-comping and then moving the composition where you want it to go. Okay, so let's go ahead and move forward from that. The next thing what we would do is, the next thing I have going on is the actual hologram comp itself, which is pretty much the same exact thing I did before. I went ahead and created a solid, pre-comped it, and then I put everything I needed into that comp. Added in the footage. I got a blue solid that gave it a blue tint on the back side. Well, here goes that crappy little triangle thing. I didn't give it much thought. I just knew I needed something to show it coming from the screen, from the phone up to the actual hologram screen itself. So I just made some crappy little triangle. Don't judge me. So we have that. We have another blue solid here. Let me take off. Let me shoot it really quick. We have another blue solid, which was for the trim of it. So I just simply made, once again, a blue solid, and then I took a mask and turned it to subtract. Kind of just made it smaller. Took the expansion down. Let's see, the expansion down to negative 28 pixels, and then the opacity was left at 100. Then I just feathered it 99 pixels just to get this little border around it. Another blue solid behind it to give Lemon Shooter itself an actual overall blue tint to it. Drop the opacity down to 5%, which you can probably change the transfer mode to something that would then give it more anything or something else. I don't know, more color, just change the effect of any sort. But I just chose to go with the opacity. Once again, it was only a test video. So we have all that all in this hologram comp. So quick little recap. We have one composition for the phone screen. Okay, then we have another composition for the actual hologram itself. And the cool thing about that, once again, is you can actually scale it up and down to match and move it in Z space. Well, I wouldn't necessarily move it in 3D space, only because of the fact that it's, you know, it's where you want it to be per se after it's already been tracked. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, the flares. So what I went ahead and did is I created two lights. One for the middle of the screen, which would then obviously the same position in which the screen comp, the position of that is for that light. I renamed it emitter, and then I have a second light that I put up at the top up here for the top of it, just for effect. Then what I went ahead and did was, of course, I had to use optical flares, Video Copilot's optical flares, to then give it a little pizzazz and give it the effect that there's light coming off of it. With a little bit of color correction and stuff. Let's see, on the original one I added a tint as well as a curves. The tint, I just actually desaturated it even more. In my camera I actually use Cinestyles, which pretty much gives you pretty much a flat image, and then I felt that it wasn't flat enough actually for this particular instance, so I went ahead and added a tint and took it to 20% and made it a little bit more black and whitish. Added the curves to kind of crush it down. Got my lamp going on right here, so it was a nice little contrast. And then I just duplicated the layer here, and then I just added a mask for a vignette effect. This was tinted to black with 61%. Let me see if I can get you that. Here we go. See, right there. That's all said and done. So you have those two. You got your screen, you got your hologram, your camera tracker. Even though the actual null object actually isn't necessary to have on, you can go ahead and turn that off, or hell, maybe even delete it after you already put your screens in place. That's totally up to you. You have your screen here, so once again you can add anything and everything you want. You can change that to white there, and then it will update. Oh, you can't really see it. Let's Control Z. You can't really see it to begin with. Either way, so anything you put in this screen comp would then show up on the screen of the phone, because it's already been tracked, because you tracked the comp to the position. Hologram, same thing. Got Lemon Shooter playing right here. Oh, the footage for Lemon Shooter was actually vignetted with the, you would just go effect, transition, this one. What is that, Venetian blinds, I guess. Okay, whatever. Venetian blinds. Wow. You would then do that. Let's see, we would then change it to 90, the direction, because if you put it to anything else, if you're thinking 0, it's actual vertical, so you want to go 90 degrees, either negative or positive, that doesn't matter. And then the width and the feather is totally up to you, depending on how close your footage is, or your camera is to this actual screen. The closer it is, the smaller the lines you may want. But since I was I wasn't too close to it, and we still want to give it that, you know, that line effect to it, I went ahead and just had it at, what was that, 13? Real quick, let's see. Also, I gave it a black and white, only because I knew that this blue layer above it was going to be given kind of a blue feel to it, so there was no reason to actually have any color in it. See, even there it looks really good. So yeah, let's see, we have all that, then what I usually do is I will then pre-comp everything from the main comp, so all this will then get comped into, here we go, here, the main, and then put into another comp. Now this is actually something that I haven't disclosed to you guys just yet, and this is the way I actually work with every video primarily. Really quick, what I do here is I will then pre-comp it into a 3x5 or a 2-3-5 composition, and what that means is, here, let me go ahead. The pixel aspect ratio is 2:3:5. Usually it's 16:9 for you know, high definition, 1920 by 1080 or 1280 by 720. But what this means is that, well, I actually don't know the total definition of it, but I just know that it's actually wider than it is taller. As you can see here, I like my comps really wide. Oh, that was checked, my bad. Anyways, so yeah, so as you can see, moving with that does that. Now what pre-comping that does, pre-comping all this, or just comping it period, what it allows us to do is to have all that information from the main comp into one comp in which we can move. Now the cool thing about working in a 2:3:5 is simply, if there's not enough in your vertical space for your frame, you can then move that entire comp to then adjust for the correct framing. Meaning, as you can see here, I got position keyframes set up all throughout here. As I was doing the original shot, I purposely for this tutorial went ahead and didn't frame it, or, you know, got a little closer to the bottom. Let's see, in some parts like here, it's a little closer to the bottom of the frame, while there's a lot, you know, still at the top. Moving it around, almost caught, you know, almost lost the phone itself here, while still having a lot of top room up there. And I actually did that on purpose, because I knew I was going to be doing the tutorial for this, and so I want to show you guys another neat little trick that I do with pretty much every video. I will then keyframe the position of the composition itself to move up and down within this composition here to adjust for the spacing. Usually when I do shoot a video, I try not to get close to the edges, but just in case you mess up or you do, you're then able to move it. If you see here, you can see how it goes up and down here. That's because I'm actually moving the composition to keep the phone in the area which I want it to stay. And that's a neat little trick, just in case you mess up or you find yourself wandering high or low. You can then, you know, kind of adjust it for that. Alright, so then after we do our final adjustments to make sure that our phone actually stays within our composition there, then you would then obviously drop that composition to semi-final into another composition down here, and then rename it to final. Well, you don't have to rename it final, but I do. That's kind of how I know which one's which. And then at that point, I would then do my final color correction. I would then drop my colorist on there, colorist 2, do my my color correction. This image is actually a little blown out because of the fact that I did change the actual hologram and the settings in there for you guys. But other than that, that's pretty much the gist of it. Really simple, really easy to complete. Once again, I would definitely spend some more time on the rays going up to the actual hologram, the screen, give it more of a light streak feel to it. But this is only a test, for the tracking and stuff. Hopefully this helped you guys out. If you have any questions, don't hesitate, drop a comment in the below. I usually answer all comments. Check me out on the Facebook fan page at inconsistent, or fb.com/inconsistentpictures. Also, if you have any questions or suggestions on tutorials or anything, hit me up on Twitter as well, at inconpics. Whatever the case may be, let me know. A lot more stuff coming soon. I will be trying to do an actual video using this effect here pretty soon. Also, like I said, the download for the for the pictures to track your screens, as well as a blue screen and a green screen version, will be available. If it's not there by the time you watch this video, then go ahead, subscribe, and I will let you know as soon as I drop it on there. Also, go ahead and like the fan page, because I will let you know when I put it up as well. I'm going to try to put it up before I put this video up, but we'll see how that works. I'm a little busy. So once again, thank you for watching. Hopefully you guys learned something. You guys take care. I'm Phil.